Let's be honest, when most people hear the words doggy style, they think they already know everything about it. They think it's just about the angle, the dominance, the thrill. But what if I told you that this position holds a secret that goes far beyond what you see or imagine? What if one small change, one shift in awareness, could completely transform how she feels, not just physically, but emotionally? This isn't about tricks or fantasy. This is about understanding the truth behind pleasure, the anatomy, the energy, and the connection that most people never talk about. Because when you know how her body responds, when you move with intention instead of instinct, and when you learn how to make her feel safe, even in the most vulnerable position, everything changes. What was once just physical becomes something deeper, something unforgettable. You see, real intimacy isn't about power, it's about presence. It's about tuning into her body, reading her breath, and realizing that pleasure is as much about emotion as it is about movement. When you understand that balance, when you give her not just sensation but connection, you don't just please her, you reach her. And that's where true satisfaction begins. So stay with me till the very end of this video, because by the time we're done, you'll see why one small adjustment in how you approach this position can make her body respond in ways she never has before. This is not just about what happens in the moment, it's about how it makes her feel long after. And when you understand that, you'll never look at this position or her pleasure the same way again. When it comes to intimacy, most people underestimate just how much science and sensitivity are involved in creating true pleasure. The position itself is only part of the story. What truly transforms the experience is understanding the female body, the angles, pressure points, and internal structures that respond differently depending on how the body is aligned. In the doggy style position, the woman's pelvis naturally tilts downward, which changes the depth and direction of penetration. This angle can directly influence the level of contact with sensitive areas, such as the G spot, which is located about 2 inches inside the vaginal canal along the front wall. When the man adjusts his position, either by changing the tilt of his hips or the elevation of her pelvis with a pillow or hand placement, he can create an alignment that allows consistent, rhythmic stimulation of this area, making the experience more pleasurable and emotionally charged for her. This awareness separates a mechanical act from a mindful connection. Too often, men rely on assumptions or what they've seen in media, missing the subtle cues her body gives: a shift in her breathing, a movement of her hips, or a soft sound that signals what feels right. The key lies in paying attention to those responses and adjusting accordingly. Even a small change in angle can mean the difference between discomfort and deep, satisfying pleasure. It's about understanding that the female body is not a fixed shape, it's dynamic, and every woman's anatomy is unique. Some may respond more to shallow, slow movements, while others may find heightened pleasure in deeper, angled contact. Learning to read her body, rather than forcing a rhythm, builds not only physical satisfaction, but trust. There's also a powerful psychological layer to this awareness. When a partner feels that her pleasure is being prioritized, when he moves with intention rather than instinct, it signals safety and respect. This safety allows her body to relax, which in turn increases blood flow and sensitivity, enhancing every sensation. From a physiological standpoint, this relaxation helps activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the same system responsible for arousal and orgasm. When she feels emotionally secure and physically understood, her body becomes more receptive to pleasure, making the entire experience more intimate and fulfilling for both partners. Using anatomical knowledge doesn't take away from spontaneity, it adds depth to it. It's about turning curiosity into connection, small details, like how her lower back arches or how her body naturally moves with each thrust, become signals guiding the experience. When a man learns to tune into these signals, he's no longer guessing, he's co-creating pleasure with her. The more he understands her body, the more control he has over timing, rhythm, and stimulation, transforming what could be a routine position into one of deep exploration and shared connection. Mastering this awareness is not about performance, but partnership. It's realizing that pleasure is a language the body speaks fluently when it's listened to with care and intelligence. When anatomy, emotion, and attention meet, even a familiar position like doggy style becomes an experience that awakens not only physical satisfaction, but emotional closeness and lasting intimacy. One of the greatest misunderstandings about doggy style is the assumption that it is purely physical, a position based on dominance or intensity rather than connection. But in truth, it has the potential to be one of the most emotionally intimate and sensory rich experiences a couple can share when approached with awareness and communication. The emotional connection in this position is not built through eye contact as in other positions, but through sound, touch, and energy exchange. Every breath, every rhythm, every subtle reaction becomes a language of its own, allowing two people to stay in tune with each other even without direct visual cues. When a man maintains emotional presence, being truly aware of her body and responses, it shifts the entire dynamic from something mechanical to something deeply connective and trust driven. Women are highly responsive to energy and attentiveness during intimacy. When he moves with her rhythm, listens to her breath, and matches his tempo to her reactions, she feels understood rather than used. The simple act of placing a hand on her back, tracing her skin, or whispering something affirming can make her body soften and open more fully. These gestures communicate safety and desire simultaneously, helping her nervous system relax and amplifying her arousal response. From a neurological standpoint, emotional connection releases oxytocin, a bonding hormone that heightens pleasure sensitivity and trust. When this hormone flows freely, her body becomes more receptive to stimulation, and her arousal deepens both physically and emotionally. The beauty of doggy style lies in its paradox. While it may appear primal, it can also be profoundly intimate if approached with empathy. Many women describe feeling vulnerable in this position because they cannot see their partner's face, so reassurance through touch and words becomes essential. When a man uses his hands gently to hold, guide, or comfort, it turns that vulnerability into empowerment. It becomes a moment where she feels seen even without eye contact because his attention is present in every movement. This emotional safety enhances pleasure as the body only reaches its highest arousal potential when it feels completely safe. Sound also plays an important role. Communication, whether through whispers, moans, or simply matching breathing patterns, helps synchronize energy between partners. It creates rhythm beyond physical thrusts, forming a shared emotional tempo. The more he responds to her sounds, the more her body trusts him to lead her into deeper sensations. It's a conversation made of movement and breath, where every reaction becomes feedback that guides the experience forward. When emotional connection merges with physical awareness, the experience transcends technique. It becomes an active partnership where both are equally engaged in creating something that feels both raw and loving. The power of this key lies in presence, in knowing that the most passionate experiences are not born from speed or strength, but from emotional awareness and mutual attunement. When two people connect, not just with their bodies, but with their energy and emotion, even the most intense moments become expressions of tenderness, trust, and shared ecstasy that linger long after the experience ends. In intimacy, the difference between pleasure and discomfort often comes down to one thing: control. Many people assume that faster or harder movements automatically create more satisfaction, but in reality, the most powerful moments happen when there's awareness and restraint. In the doggy style position, pacing, depth, and rhythm play a crucial role in shaping what she feels, both physically and emotionally. When a man takes control not through force, but through precision, he transforms experience into something balanced, connected, and deeply pleasurable. The human body is full of sensory receptors, and the female body in particular contains nerve endings that respond more intensely to consistency than to chaos. When rhythm is steady and depth is adjusted with sensitivity, it allows her body to relax and build arousal naturally rather than reacting to sudden or unpredictable sensations. Physiologically, the G spot and the cervix are highly responsive areas, but they are also sensitive and require proper stimulation to bring pleasure instead of discomfort. By maintaining control of depth, avoiding thrusts that are too deep too soon, the man ensures that the pressure remains pleasurable and that the body has time to adjust. This control also prevents the overstimulation that can interrupt arousal. When the rhythm begins slowly, it allows her muscles to relax, her breathing to deepen, and her body to synchronize with his pace. As arousal builds, the body naturally produces more lubrication, increasing sensitivity and pleasure. At this stage, adjusting the pace gradually rather than abruptly intensifies the sensations, allowing the experience to become both physically stimulating and emotionally immersive. The art of pacing also builds anticipation, which is one of the most powerful psychological tools for deep connection. When he alternates between slow, deliberate movements and deeper, more rhythmic strokes, it engages her mind as much as her body. This variation keeps her fully present, her focus drawn to every motion, every breath. The power of this dynamic lies in contrast, giving her body time to feel the depth of each movement rather than rushing through it. A controlled rhythm sends a subconscious message of confidence and care. It tells her that her pleasure matters, that he is in control, not for dominance, but for harmony. That sense of balance between power and patience heightens trust and amplifies her response. Control also extends to breathing and physical coordination. When his breathing aligns with his movement, it becomes a form of communication, a rhythm that her body begins to mirror. The steadier his breathing, the calmer and more confident his energy becomes, and she feels it immediately. This stability allows her to let go, both physically and mentally, which is when the deepest sensations occur. Pacing and rhythm are not about holding back, they are about building up layer by layer until every nerve, muscle, and breath is in sync. When this awareness becomes part of the experience, intimacy evolves from a simple act into a symphony of movement and emotion. It's no longer about performing or finishing. It's about staying in tune, feeling the gradual rise of connection, and understanding that true pleasure is not achieved through speed or repetition, but through presence, patience, and perfect timing. When it comes to intimacy, one of the most overlooked truths is that great experiences are never just about one part of the body doing the work. The real secret lies in how the entire body participates in the rhythm of connection. In the doggy style position, many people focus only on hip movement, thinking that's where all the magic happens. But when you learn to engage your full body, your hands, your chest, your breath, and even your voice, you transform what could be a mechanical motion into something deeply immersive and emotionally charged. The body is a network of sensations, and when more of it is involved, the brain receives more signals of pleasure, security, and excitement all at once. This amplifies the experience for both partners, turning the position into a complete expression of energy and awareness. The hands are among the most powerful tools of connection in this position. They can communicate safety, passion, or reassurance with a single touch. A gentle hand on her back, tracing the curve of her spine, or holding her hips with firmness and care creates a sensory bridge between movement and emotion. These small gestures tell her that he is fully present, not lost in performance. The skin itself is the largest sensory organ, and stimulating it during intimacy increases the release of oxytocin and endorphins, enhancing both pleasure and trust. When he uses his hands to explore her body, her shoulders, waist, thighs, or neck, it turns each stroke into an act of mindfulness rather than repetition. This attention to detail makes her feel seen and desired, heightening her physical and emotional response. Breathing is another powerful element that most overlook. When a man breathes steadily in rhythm with his movements, it sets a calming and controlled tone. Her body subconsciously mirrors that energy, creating a shared rhythm that deepens intimacy. Whispering, sighing, or even softly speaking her name adds another layer of connection. Sound is vibration, and vibration carries emotion. The warmth of his voice, the sincerity of his tone, and the rhythm of his breath all work together to create an atmosphere of closeness that goes far beyond physical contact. These subtle cues reassure her nervous system that she is safe, allowing her to relax and feel more deeply. When the chest or body makes contact, even briefly, it changes everything. Leaning in close enough for her to feel his warmth, or hear his heartbeat, or feel his breath on her neck triggers primal responses of comfort and attraction. It makes her feel held rather than positioned. The combination of full body engagement transforms the moment from physical release to emotional fusion. Every muscle, every touch, every breath becomes a thread woven into a shared experience where both bodies are communicating without words. When the entire body participates, energy begins to flow more freely between partners. It's not just movement, it's synchronization. This is where intimacy transcends technique, where it becomes an art form built on awareness, care, and genuine connection. Engaging the whole body allows both partners to move from simple pleasure to profound intimacy, creating a moment that lingers long after touch fades. Aftercare is one of the most misunderstood yet essential parts of intimacy, especially in positions like doggy style, where the experience can feel intense, vulnerable, and deeply emotional for both partners. What happens after the physical act often determines how safe, loved, and connected a person feels moving forward. Many people focus entirely on the performance or the moment itself, forgetting that the body and mind continue processing long after it ends. The nervous system heart rate and hormone levels are still elevated, and what you do in those next few minutes can either strengthen or weaken the bond you share. When aftercare is done with awareness and tenderness, it turns physical pleasure into emotional trust and transforms a single moment into a lasting connection. During intimacy, the body releases powerful chemicals such as oxytocin, dopamine, and endorphins. These hormones create feelings of closeness and pleasure, but they also make both partners more sensitive emotionally. Without reassurance, that sensitivity can easily turn into vulnerability or confusion, especially for women who may feel exposed or distant once the intensity fades. Aftercare bridges that emotional gap by grounding the experience in affection and security. A simple gesture, holding her, brushing her hair, whispering softly, or maintaining physical touch, tells her nervous system that she is safe. That safety allows her body to fully relax, helping both of you transition from passion to peace. Physiologically, this reduces stress hormones like cortisol and helps balance the emotional energy that builds during sex. Aftercare also serves as communication without words. It's how partners express appreciation, tenderness, and mutual respect. When you stay close, when you check in, how do you feel? Or did that feel good for you? It shows that you value not just the experience, but her comfort and emotions. This kind of care builds deep emotional memory. It teaches her body to associate intimacy with safety and warmth instead of tension or detachment. That's why couples who practice mindful aftercare often find their desire growing stronger over time because their bond strengthens emotionally even as their physical connection evolves. There's also a subtle power dynamic that aftercare helps rebalance. Positions like doggy style can make one partner feel more exposed, while the other takes on a more dominant role. By showing gentleness afterward, holding her, smiling, or offering affection, you remind her that the experience was shared, not controlled. This balance restores equality and deepens trust, creating an emotional foundation that makes future encounters even more fulfilling. Aftercare is not a chore. It's the quiet art of turning intensity into intimacy. It's the calm after the storm that makes everything feel real, meaningful, and safe. It's what separates an experience that's merely physical from one that touches the soul. When you take the time to comfort, to connect, to care, you tell your partner, without saying a word, that she is cherished, respected, and understood. And that feeling stays long after the lights fade, becoming the very reason she'll want to come closer again, not just physically, but emotionally every single time. True pleasure and connection are never about the position itself, but about the intention behind it. What transforms something as common as doggy style into a deeply emotional, memorable experience is awareness of her body, her emotions, and your shared rhythm. When you understand her anatomy, stay connected through touch and sound, control your pace with care, engage your full body, and honor her through aftercare. You turn intimacy into an act of trust, respect, and exploration. This is where physical pleasure meets emotional depth. It's not about performance or technique alone. It's about presence, sensitivity, and the willingness to learn what truly makes her feel safe, desired, and fulfilled. When you bring this level of awareness into the bedroom, you don't just give pleasure, you build connection. You show that you value her not as an object of desire, but as a partner in experience. That understanding changes everything. It deepens love, strengthens attraction, and creates a kind of intimacy that words can't capture, the kind that lingers in her mind and body long after the moment ends. This is what makes a lover unforgettable. Not skill, but emotional intelligence. So, as you take this knowledge forward, remember real connection isn't about being perfect, it's about being present. When you combine sensitivity, confidence, and care, every touch, every movement, every breath becomes part of something far greater, an experience that nourishes both body and soul. Thank you for watching and for choosing to learn, to understand, and to connect on a deeper level. Your willingness to explore intimacy with respect and curiosity is what makes you stand out. May you continue to grow in awareness, confidence, and compassion, not just in the bedroom, but in every connection you build. Wishing you warmth, passion, and emotional strength in every moment you share. Take care and good luck on your journey to deeper connection and lasting intimacy.